Hey, how about a scam? And I loved listening to you, and I heard you say, "Oh Lord," when Grandpa Joe, who our new morning host before you, Chris DeGaulle, captured it perfectly. There was a big concern that his teeth were going to fall out of his head any moment last night. I mean, it was bad. Mumbles and mumbling and stammering, and he sounded like he did have a denture, malfunction. But he did the crap about all I wanted for the people to pay the fair share. I get so mad at that because I would love once and for all for somebody to tell me what that means.
Please, what's the
and
number?
No one
give
can
me a
ever
number.
define
give
it.
me a number.
Well, give me a number because here's what I'll give you some numbers because I got my tax returns out for the last 10 years.
Here we go.
Now I'm blessed, and this is part of the problem. You and I are blessed.
Absolutely.
We don't exactly make minimum wage.
No violin music for us eating dog food. Absolutely,
we make a good living.
Yep.
But by the way, that's baked into the cake for these leftists because that's their point too. They say, look, Mark Davis, Mike Gallagher, these guys make a lot of money, so they can afford to pay a lot more than they're paying. All right, how much more than 51% of my income am I supposed to give to the government, Mark? When I left New York, admittedly that's New York because I'm paying city, state, and federal taxes. 51%. Now, you're telling me that me giving more than half of my income to the government isn't my fair share, Mark? I come to Texas, Florida, to get away from that, no more city or state. It's still close to 40. I mean, I looked at my tax returns for the last 10 years. Again, cry no tears for me.
That's right. But if a 7-figure tax burden is not my fair share, I paid 7 figures. I'm in the 7 figures here over the last decade of what I've paid in taxes. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It's unbelievable how much tax. And look, I keep saying, well, 50% of what I make is still better than most, and I know that, and I'm blessed, but what's my fair share of that, Mark? That's exactly it.
80%.
They'll never. Listen, this is why the Beatles and the Stones started to do business in America because in England they had like an 80-90% tax burden.
Is that what Biden wants?
Of course,
is that what the Democrats want?
Of course, it is. Of course
Great.
It is.
So I've worked in this business 45 years. I've achieved a certain level of success, and I'm supposed to be taxed so that I earn, what an insurance agent earns. Because the insurance agent ain't paying 80%. That's the thing that gets me, but that's all it's about with these people. The Bidens of the world, the Democrats, the loony leftists of the world see the world this way. We're the bad guys because we're financially successful, and we got to be cut down to size. That's their worldview, Mark. There's no way around that. And meanwhile, and my gosh, yesterday, Pam Bondi, holy moly, is she strong, tough. She took on, Adam Schiff. At one point, she said, look, you were censored by Congress for asking questions like this. Little pencil neck.
And the other
geek.
California Senator, Alex Padilla, she said, I'm not going to be bullied by you. Super. Before we go to her, one last thing on Biden, and it's a big one, but we can probably cover in 30 seconds. The always kind, always gracious Harold Ford Jr. was on my list of my favorite Democrats. He's on the 5 and did some of the post-Biden comments. He has said, and I think he's just being gracious too, that history will be kinder to Biden than his current approval ratings might be. And I've thought about that.
39%, by the way, which is now.
Yeah, I think only Truman was worse coming out in 1952. Why? Why in the world would they be? Was history kinder to Carter? Not really. Until Biden, he was America's worst president ever. I'm glad Jimmy lived long enough. So will history? Go ahead.
In 20, 50 years, what can they say were the Biden achievements?
Thank you. And how will they be spun better? I mean, and if anything, Trump 2.0 is going to make the Biden years maybe not look worse, but as Reagan did to the Carter years, the Trump years are going to show, hey, this is actually how you do it. Watching Biden's desperation in trying to claim credit for the Hamas terrorist hostage ceasefire deal is fascinating. He's frantically trying to. In fact, at the beginning of the speech last night, they obviously inserted that because it was a last minute development. Is there anyone that doesn't think Trump's emergence and ascension is the reason this happened? Look, Biden had 15 months to get a deal done. And you're telling me 5 days before the inauguration? Look, even Bibi, everybody's acknowledging it's the Trump effect. It's not. Now, having said that, I get it. Biden is the sitting president, and if the deal is going to happen this week or this weekend
Well, we'll see. Now there's some questions about it. You know, now there's Bibi is saying that the Hamas is pulling some shenanigans. Oh, color me shocked. You mean they're not being
what? Hamas not honest brokers? They're not Boy Scouts?
The terrorists aren't being honorable? No. Tell me, no. You'd say it isn't so. But look, we got to pray for these people. There's a couple of dozen people still. I think most of them are dead. I hate to say that. I don't want to be disrespectful, but these scoundrels, these monsters are awful. But, you know, for Biden to try to, you know, I get trying to grab the credit, but there was a level of desperation to it that I found really, really. But Pam Bondi, and, you know, when I see Richard Blumenthal up there, I still can't get over Stolen Valor Blumenthal grilling Pete Hegseth. That's astounding to me. How does he get to be on the arm? How does a Stolen Valor culprit get to be on the Armed Services Committee, Mark? How could you be on that august committee when you've lied about serving your country in Vietnam?
Yeah, the voters keep putting you there, and then a Democrat-run Senate gives you a position of power. So there you go.
I don't know of any more. We got a new sheriff in town, and we're bundled up. We're ready to go. Hey. In fact, go ahead.
Right, I got to before we leave the hostage thing, and we all pray for that to work. I've given this to listeners. I want to give it to you. It is a documentary called We Will Dance Again. I don't know if you heard me talking about it before.
Oh, yeah, no, you have.
It is remarkable. It is survivors of and their cell phone video of those attacks. It puts you in that festival grounds for that attack.
We're going to, in fact, today on the show, we're going to visit with Yael Eckstein, who's the president and CEO of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. And I got a pretty big announcement to make, and I'll share it with you because you're my buddy, and this is my family here, 660 AM The Answer. We're headed back to Israel this year. We're going to go back to the Holy Land on the anniversary of October the 7th. And you ready for this? Even better? We're going to give people who want to come with me the opportunity to join me. We're going to open this up to our audience. We're going to have a fairly small, exclusive group of listeners who are able to come and join us in Jerusalem in October. So stay tuned for those details. We're working diligently to put that together.
The other thing, just to end on a pleasant note, because the documentary I just mentioned will level you, let me give you just a really cool show Lisa and I stumbled across. Were you a fan of ER? Who wasn't, right?
Oh,
Who
sure.
in the world wasn't? Remember baby-faced young Dr. John Carter, played by the great Noah Wyle?
Yeah.
Remember him? Yeah. He was a med student and then became a doctor. The show was on for 15 years. We got to see his path. He's in a brand new show. He's a doctor in an ER. It is called The Pit with 2 T's, a reference because it's in Pittsburgh. And also, hey, welcome to the pit, like this sort of underfunded, always heavily pressured emergency room. There are 2 episodes out, and there'll be 1 more per week. It's brand new on HBO. HBO is now called Max, which confuses me because I'm an old fart, and I remember Max was Cinemax. So, but it's HBO, it's Max.
Back in my day.
Right. I remember when we had a remote. It's The Pit with 2 T's with the great Noah Wyle as who's 53 now, looks and he's in another medical drama. It's like ER, but much rougher and gruffer and but it's just wonderful.
Well, let me close with my documentary recommendation.
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer on Netflix. Man, oh man,
What's
that's
it called?
A great series.
Fights, Camera, Action.
Yeah,
but it's just a great play on words.
But it's a look at the behind-the-scenes pressure that those producers had to make it crazier and crazier.
And fun. The one phony. I mean, and bless his heart. And Jerry Springer, prince of a guy, interviewed him once, met him, couldn't have been a nicer man.
Nice guy. That's part of the theme of that. He died in 2023, but that was the theme, that the monster was this producer, this Richard guy, and he was the guy that he said on camera, if I could get away with having somebody executed on television on the Jerry Springer show, I would do it.
All right.
So that's good. Taking the high road. On that happy note,
hey,
happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Mike Gallagher ready for you as soon as we're done at 10 on 660 AM The Answer.